because I didn't anticipate that on Monday night they would bore us to death either to the level that they did, but this one was especially dreary, except for the usual suspects, the high points of Gunther and to some extent the Judgment Day and their interactions with people. You were under the weather, and we're not able to see this fine program. So would you like me to fill you in so that you don't get left out when something refers back to this landmark occasion and you're unawares?
First of all, I did see some of the show, so I can keep up with you. Second of all,
oh, so you can keep up with me. Okay.
Even if I missed it, they're going to show me replay packages until the end of time, showing me everything that I missed.
Yes, they will replay episodes or parts of Raw more often than the Zapruder film.
During the ring introductions, they'll just all of a sudden go to a replay.
But the show opened and put me on a down note because they were in the middle of a fight between Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. And a big brawl, in quotation marks, with the referees and blah, blah, blah. And I wrote, they're seriously going to use her. Fucking Refrigerator Jax. And then Raquel came out to make the save and accidentally booted Baszler. And then Rhea came out and got on Nia, and the other girls were fighting Rhea too then, and security came in, they had to pull apart. And I'm thinking, my God, they're going to risk Rhea Ripley against this. Well, she might look like a Sherman tank, but as Tojo Yamamoto used to say about Al Green, maybe he looks more like a septic tank. But anyway, after all that was cleared out, then Rhea does a promo and calls out the Judgment Day because she says, we need to talk. And here comes Priest and Dominic, and I'm like, okay, finally. And they went to the break. And when they come back, Rhea's already in mid-sentence, so somebody jumped the gun on her cue. Either that or they played an extra commercial on my local facility. But she had just apparently gotten something off her chest, although I couldn't see any difference and noticed nothing lacking. But the story here they're telling now, and Brian, help me with this if I miss any of the intricacies and nuances, but there's been no leader in the Judgment Day, but each of them has their own responsibilities, and somebody's got to come up with a game plan. But she's saying she's gone for 2 weeks and the shit has fallen apart. And she left the responsibility to Priest, and apparently he can't handle it. Dominic lost the North American title because Priest wasn't there. And Cody and Jay want the tag team titles. And Rhea is kind of talking down to Damian, and more obvious than ever before, she's the boss of this bunch, right?
And again, she had a baby face. Even though she came out there and got into it with Raquel while attacking Nia Jax, she's the baby face. Out of all those women, she got the big pop at the end, and then it was right back into this. They said there's no leader of the Judgment Day. She's the leader of the Judgment Day.
Yeah. And she should be. And then Priest, he kind of fired because he's going to eventually be the one, and they're doing the slow bubble, but he's going to be breaking out sooner or later. But he says, screw Cody and Jay and everybody else. I've got my belts and I've got the Money in the Bank briefcase, and where's Dom's belt, And so then Rhea looks at Dominic and she says, hey, I'm mommy and you're poppy, so you better beat Trick in the rematch. See, they're referring to NXT on Raw, which is what they ought to fucking do. Should have been doing more of.
They should do that even when they're not hot-shotting, you're saying?
Yes, because it's all the same company. And the more people that watch these programs, the more money they're going to get for them. So anyway, if he doesn't come home with the belt, he's not supposed to come home. And then Uso's music plays, and Jay comes out and says apparently Rhea Ripley is the new tribal chief and has bigger balls than Roman Reigns. And Priest and Jay go to face, and then Dominic stopped him, and now they're doing the thing where they're just blatantly turning Dominic's mic off. Have you noticed that?
And maybe piping in the booze on top of that, because it was ridiculous.
Well, and honestly, now I don't think they have to pipe the booze because the people know it's a TV thing to do to boo him. But what they're doing is all the crowd microphones where the interview is not being fed to. They got microphones around the ring and microphones in the crowd. They're just bringing that all the way up and turning his mic down. But now you can't hear him at all, to the point where you don't know what he's saying. So it's a little much. But anyway, Jay and Dominic face off, and Jay super kicks him. And here comes JD McFunco. And the heels 2-on-1 Jay. And then Cody's music plays, and he hits and make a big save. And the heels bail out, and suddenly Adam Pearce is out there to, God damn it, we're going to have a tag team title match on the pay-per-view, playa. And they booked the tag title match for the pay-per-view in 5 days in that little angle there. And we were 23 minutes into the program at that point.
At this point, it's a relief when Pierce comes out there and doesn't say, I'm booking a match tonight. When at least you have a few days to think about it. It's kind of nice for once.
But again, all that stuff that they did was good, but
they draw everything out.
It's taken 23 fucking minutes.
No, they draw everything out. Non-stop. Everything gets drawn out way too long. And now AEW is doing it too. And that's a WWE thing. But this took a while. But the Judgment Day are good. And, Finn wasn't there. And I'm not going to have you say anything bad about JD McFunco. He's, gabba gabba, we accept you, one of us.
One of us. One of us.
But, the Judgment Day, this was all top-tier people involved in something. Even the Nia Jax thing. Look, if they're going to use her, the only thing to me in the world that's intriguing is the idea of Rhea Ripley body slamming her. That's the only thing I want to see, is Rhea Ripley just fucking kill her in the ring.
Well, now, come on.
So that was a good opening. Metaphorically
speaking. You're just calling for violence?
In wrestling, yes. What are you, TBS? You're going to give me a problem by talking about violence?
There's no room for violence in wrestling. So then Chad Notice and Model Girl wrestled Leonardo da Vinci and Kaiser Wilhelm, and the heels won at least. But now we're 40 minutes into the program. Oh, apparently on NXT, also Becky Lynch, who's been down there more than once now, that she and Tiffany Stratton had a garbage match.
Oh, I saw that, yeah.
Shopping carts, weapons, arena fighting, a fake barbed wire bat. Because you can't tell me that the WWE let anybody have barbed wire for real. And it was only the highlights, but it looked positively AEW level bad. And I'm going to say it again. The girls' hardcore matches are another of the many reasons that everybody thinks that wrestling is bullshit these days and nobody watches this shit anymore. And yes, somebody's going to say, well, Cornette, you just said the ratings were going to. I'm talking about nobody in the scheme of the history of pro wrestling's audience over 125 years. That's nobody right now. Bronson Reed beat Cedric Alexander in 2 minutes. Poor Cedric. And then we get to the contract signing, which they, again, have to do to stretch things out because these things are always good for about 15 minutes of blah, 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 blah. But at least it was Gunther and Tommaso Ciampa. And except for the fact that he wasn't wearing any socks, which made him look even more douchebaggy, does Gunther in a suit look like every picture of an NWA champion from the 1940s?
Gunther in a suit looked like a classic wrestler, but it made it work for modern times. But like you said, when he stood up and you look at his feet, it just looked really weird, like off. It just looked totally off because of the no socks. But
when he was sitting at the table with the Dick York haircut and the black jacket and tie and the white shirt,
The problem is I didn't recognize the no socks until he had just gotten done putting down Ciampa's outfit. I look at the way you dress to come meet me, and then he stands up again, I'm wearing socks. You shouldn't say anything.
Well, but Tommaso still was.
Unless you're wearing flip-flops. If you're wearing flip-flops, you can pull it off. But when you're wearing shoes but no socks, it looks awful.
I agree with you, but if you'd have been wearing flip-flops at a contract signing, you'd have still looked like a bum.
That Jimmy Snuka was quite the bum.
Well, but nevertheless, Tommaso did look like very unkempt, unfashionable, an unmade bed. But nevertheless, Tommaso did a promo, and he's very good, and I like his work, but does it seem like that he just comes and goes to get plugged into something every once in a while and somebody beats him? I don't know that they have done a lot to where the people would have some doubt. In the match, which we'll talk about later, they actually gave him some, but was this an attraction because of the way they've used Tommaso? Does anybody think he's going to end the reign of the longest running Intercontinental Champion ever? That was the...
It is good, though, that they're now, because it seems at least for now, they've moved on from the Gable thing. And I'm not saying that's a good thing. I'm just saying they gave that a few weeks. They made it serious. It didn't work out. He's on to his next opponent. I like that they're kind of making each opponent a serious thing now for him.
Well, I don't, I'm not saying they shouldn't do that. What I'm saying is they should make each opponent a more serious thing for him by making his opponents more serious first. Why didn't they have Tommaso out there for the last 4 or 5 weeks while he was interacting with Gable, just beating people every week?
But the other problem... Well, the problem
I know we missed a Raw, and I know that we skipped some things that are just blah, but I usually keep an eye out for Ciampa, and I haven't seen a repeated weekly push of Ciampa to make him an Intercontinental Champion or Continental title challenger for a TV main event.
See, he looks like he could be like crazy in a fight and kick some ass. He looks like he's from like a homeless encampment. He looks like he's got this look, and then he gets on the mic, and what does he say? Not, I'm going to kick your ass. He says, this is my childhood dream to be the Intercontinental Champion since I was 5 years old. Everyone's doing that promo. Everyone is doing that promo.
That's the other thing, is that it's not, again, like you said, it's about my childhood dream to do this, because Vince is still mimicking his push of Shawn Michaels' childhood dream in 1996. But yes, it's correct. Tommaso, and he's a badass, and he's in incredible shape for real, as well as looking the part. And he was trying to put oomph in this, but he doesn't look like a guy that you would care about his childhood dream, nevertheless. And they milked around, and then Tommaso said, because I wrote, this is taking a while. Tommaso tells him to sign the contract. I wish he would. And then Tommaso says they don't have to wait. We can do it tonight. And Gunther signs the contract, and it'll take place tonight. And then Gunther slaps him, and Tommaso tackles him, and they have a fight, and Gunther rolls out. And that took a while. But we got the match later on. Ivar the Viking wrestled Xavier Woods. That was a real rip snorter.
As soon as I heard that New Day music, fast forward.
Yeah, so Seth Franklin Rollins. Did you like the promo? Do you know what I really, really, really didn't like about this long, rotten segment with Seth Franklin Rollins and Shaky Nakamura?
Well, you hate Nakamura sometimes unfairly, so I'm going to guess you're going to say him, but I actually fast-forwarded through this whole thing because Rollins has go-away heat on the mic with me.
Okay, well, let me tell you, no, it wasn't Shaky that I hated. It was his twin brother, Quakey. Because, see, there was two of them. You missed this.
I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I don't know where you're going.
I don't know what the fuck they were trying to talk to me about.
Shaky and Quakey.
Because there was Seth doing the promo, and he came out and he's dancing and he's cackling and he's doing whatever this fucking gimmick is. And then he has a promo about they're going to have a last man standing match, I believe, with old Shaky Nakamura on the pay-per-view this weekend that we're about to finish this program by talking about. And I was wondering if this rivalry was longer now than Bobo Brazil and the Sheik, because it will not end. But then suddenly another Nakamura video comes up on the screen with the subtitles. He's speaking Japanese, you're reading it in English. And I wrote, I don't care if he cures cancer, they cannot make people believe that Shaky Nakamura is a main event world champion guy right now in this day and age. But here's what happened. As the video on the screen of Nakamura was playing, guess who jumped in the ring from behind and attacked Seth Franklin Rollins, Brian?
Was it Quakey Nakamura?
It was his twin brother, Quakey Nakamura. Because Quakey jumps on Seth and beats him up and gets him down. And as soon as that happens, Shaky on the video screen starts counting to 10. And he's illustrating that old Seth Franklin is going to be down for the 10 count. But he counted to 7, and Seth got up. So then Quakey got back on him and hit him 9 times with a chair. And then he folded the chair out and sat in it, did Quakey, while Shaky on the screen started counting again. Brian, can you tell me what's wrong with this so far? If this was a real thing that was happening?
Well, I can't tell you what's right with it so far, so why don't you tell me what's wrong with it?
How the fuck did the fucking guy, even if he pre-recorded this and bribed the video guy in the truck and the whole 9 yards, how did he know how long it was going to take him, and or indeed whether he would be able to incapacitate Seth Franklin Rollins to start counting on him, and how does he know how to stop counting when he gets up? So then,
he's a genius.
As he was sitting in the chair, Shaky on the screen counted to 9 and Seth got up. So Quakey beat him up some more, and then Quakey got on the microphone and counted to 10.
You know what? I didn't watch that. I skipped over it. You just said what happened. I still have no idea what happened.
The guy on the screen, who was the same guy that was in the ring beating up the other guy, was counting on a pre-taped promo for what was happening live in the ring in front of the people, and nobody saw anything wrong with that fucking logic. And everything was matching up perfectly.
I'll reiterate one of my biggest fears that I mentioned on the drive-thru, that Punk comes in and they put him with Rollins.
Oh, Jesus. All right. Back to Raw. My next note says they had girl versus girl and girl won.
Okay, now you're just being completely dismissive of the women's division. Who was in a match?
I don't know. I don't remember because we were 2 hours into this thing and I was going out of my mind.
What color hair did they have?
I don't remember.
If you at least know the hair color, I mean, everyone has a different color hair. No one can have the same color hair.
Let me tell you something. I couldn't tell you if they were wearing clothes or naked.
All right.
So anyway.
Maybe I have to go back and check.
Drew McIntyre did an in-ring promo, and I wrote endless talking on this program. And now I don't know whether they're milking a heel turn or he's just becoming a lone wolf vigilante type. He won't forgive Jey Uso. But then The Miz comes out, and he's mad because Drew ruined Miz TV last week, and Drew told him to bugger off. Now, for those of you from L.A., that would be Lower Alabama, bugger is the English word for fuck. So I'm wondering if they're going to have an issue with that, either potentially if it was beamed to the United Kingdom or if it aired in this country in a various, British enclaves of some kind. But Drew asked The Miz to fight. Miz said they weren't dressed because they were both wearing, well, Miz was wearing a suit. And I wrote, can anyone shut up? And then Drew started taking his clothes off. See, now I made a note of that. I can't tell you about the girls, but.
Paid attention to the naked men, not the women.
Well, that's because they were starting to fight. And they had to remove their laundry in order to strip down like men and competitors. But Miz said he was going to be the bigger man and walk away. And he did. And then he ran back and nailed Drew with the microphone, and they had a 10-second fight. And the referees came in, and Miz bailed out on the floor, and we went to a break. And I wrote, how does the live audience in the arena bear this? So when we came back, they actually had a match with Drew against Miz in his suit. And they went 3 or 4 minutes, and Drew, instead of giving him the big kick, he gets his sword. And apparently he was going to run Miz through, I'm not sure, but the referee took the sword away. And while the referee was carefully handling the sword, or handing the sword out to the sword handler, I don't know who was taking it, McIntyre ripped the turnbuckle pad off and ran the Miz into it, and then double arm DDT'd him. 1, 2, 3. And then immediately got the microphone and apologized for his actions and sarcastically said, that means he's forgiven. So is Drew going to be a heel with he's a pissed off baby face that's been wronged and he can't get over it? Now he's going to be a heel, or is he just a lone wolf, or possibly a sad sack, or does anybody care?
He's boring to me right now. They got to do something different. And I like The Miz a lot more than I like Drew McIntyre right now. I think The Miz has had a better run lately and is more entertaining out there. With Drew, it's just, there's a general blandness that comes through with everything he's done. Maybe a heel turn and some slight changes in his gimmick. Like you said, make him more of a lone wolf, whatever that is. But he's boring as fuck right now, and he has been for a while, I think.
Well, I mean, he fits right in here in this program, because it's not like, all right. But anyway, the one thing I wanted to talk about the whole television program was Gunther and Ciampa, the match at least for the Intercontinental title. And they actually got to this thing and gave him the entrance, the break, and the introductions only took 7 minutes. So at least they gave him, some time at the end of the program. And I love it. I wrote, it's the first thing in 3 hours I've wanted to see on this thing. And I like Ciampa's work, and he was very aggressive at the open. And obviously we've talked about Gunther is brilliant. And again, this was the Gunther match, and the philosophy with Gunther's in control because he's physically dominant, but Ciampa fights from underneath. But at the same time, once that you're seeing it in front of you, even if he hasn't had a push, you can buy Ciampa with his ripped physique and his look, and his work is so snug as a badass. So they got the people into this at the end, even though I don't know that anybody would say that they were jumping up and down at the beginning like this is going to be the moment that Gunther meets his Waterloo. I guess Napoleon met his Waterloo. I guess, what would Gunther meet?
Napoleon.
The bunker?
Maybe he'll meet Napoleon.
I'd pay a simoleon or two to see that. So
he's a French mole. It's a quick cartoon series we just came up with.
Napoleon, the French mole. Trademark. Anyway, they built it up. They went through a couple of breaks, but by the time they really kicked into it, it was a slobber knocker. And they did the deal where Gunther really worked Ciampa over, but on the floor, they go out, he goes for the big chop, and Ciampa ducks, and Gunther breaks the desktop with the chop and hurts his hand. And Ciampa makes a comeback there and hits a widow's bell and a 2 count. And then Gunther took back over and they had a few falses back and forth. But they were getting the people with Tommaso's false finishes because they looked so good and they built the match and it made sense. It looked like it might be the fucking finish. And then They did a rope break where Tommaso got the stretch and cranked it, and Gunther got the ropes, and that was like, oh, from the people. And then they did the chop fight, but with Gunther selling his hand, but having to use his big weapon and doing damage to himself at the same time. Tommaso goes to lift him, but his back gives out. Gunther hits 2 power bombs real quick and gets the sleeper and puts him out. And they, again, a heck of a match, and it elevated Ciampa, at least in the fans' eyes, people that saw that. If they continue this push, then, they may can get somewhere with Tommaso. But then Kaiser and Da Vinci roll in, and they attack Tommaso while Gunther is like leaving him to, leaving the bones to his minions. Ha! Ha! And here comes Johnny Sameface. And Gargano gets in the ring and beats up the heels and clears the ring and has made his triumphant return from wherever the fuck he's been. We ain't missed him. And again, you have this fucking insurance sales looking nerd hit the ring, this microscopic ant of a man with his plaster of Paris facial expression, and he's saving a badass like Tommaso Ciampa. Yes, I know they were affiliated in NXT, and that was a mistake too. Anytime anyone has ever put Johnny Gargano in a fucking wrestling ring, it's been a mistake. And now he's back. And he's not even 10 pounds heavier.
And the fans weren't really that, excited to see Johnny Gargano return. They barely care about Ciampa.
And again, this wasn't the NXT audience, which is the only place that Gargano's ever meant anything, because they force-fed him to a select group of the same people every week, and he got responses.
And that may not even be the current NXT audience. That was the NXT audience 4 years ago.
I don't know what audience is there for Johnny Sameface, but I've just thrown that pad of paper far away, but it has to be a limited one. He would look perfect in AEW, and that's not a compliment. Your closing thoughts on the Raw program, my dear Brian.
I like the Judgment Day stuff. I was surprised they did not have Cody come back out at any other point in the show and really do anything. That was really surprising to me, actually. But the Gunther Ciampa stuff...
No, actually, you know what? He did come out and cut a brief promo in the entranceway and then left and said nothing.
I missed that. When was that?
It was earlier in the show.
I didn't even see that.
He said nothing either. It was pointless.
But I thought the Ciampa, not Gargano, the Ciampa Gunther stuff was good. Other than the fact that now we're going to get, I guess, Gunther Stooges against Ciampa and Gargano, which I'm not excited about that. And I like the Judgment Day stuff. The intrigue that's now going from show to show with whatever's going on with the Judgment Day, I like that.
If it could just happen a little bit quicker. Just a little quicker. Like maybe, in every 3-hour Raw would make a good hour TV show. But nevertheless, because here's the thing, things have to be comfortable and they've got to fit, Brian. You can't put a square peg in a round hole, and that's what it feels like whenever Raw is applied to me every week. It feels like a square peg going into my round hole. I want comfort. I want cuddliness. I want things that fit properly. And you can get all these things from our brand new friends and brand new sponsors, the fine folks at Marine Layer. Now, that is not a place to hide submarines, not lair, ladies and gentlemen, Layer, Marine Layer, Layer. They are a fine company based in the San Francisco area that markets and manufactures and sells and possibly even gives them away every once in a while some of the finest and stylish clothes and T-shirts and accessories and things and such of that nature that you will ever find in your little pea-picking dreams. And I've actually gotten some. Have you gotten your box yet?
No, you got it and I didn't. And I was really looking forward to checking out the clothing.
they've sent it to you. It's just because you live out in the wilds out there, it takes a little longer. They got to bring sunshine in on a flatbed truck in your neighborhood.
It's easy to get things to me. I'm not that far from the greater New York area.
Yeah, well, I don't know how great it is, but nevertheless, I got my Marine Layer box, and I'll have you know, I got a few things that I thought the whole family here would be interested in. Even though I don't travel anymore, Stacy on occasion does go home, as we've mentioned, and visit her family, or takes a little vacation here and there.
Get away from you.
To get away from me. And I got her this incredible travel bag. Well, you could stay home. You could just go across the street, but you can put all kinds of things in this. It's a fine quality piece of merchandise. I got one of those. Also, I got for her, and this is the main thing here, these incredible t-shirts. They've got the most comfortable. I have a lot of t-shirts in my closet, Brian, that I've had for years, and I've washed a million times, and I've just got them to the point where they're nice and comfy. But they've also, because they're so old, they've got various holes and rips and stains and tears and shreds and knife wounds.
Wounds?
Well, just a few, but thankfully not in any sensitive areas. And so they don't look good to wear out. So what I'm trying to find is a soft t-shirt that feels like I've washed it a million times, but it still looks new and is brightly colored and has no blemishes or defects. And that's what they're doing here. I got a t-shirt for Stacy, a Grateful Dead t-shirt, poster at the Oakland Coliseum. She's actually been there to see the Grateful Dead. So that was a little piece of home. And then I, for myself, because, I told you it was cold this morning, and I'm thinking about, since I lost all the fat, I get cold in the wintertime. And so I got this beautiful fleece. I don't know if you'd call it a sweatshirt or a long sleeve t-shirt, but it's fleece and it's soft and it feels like duck feathers and little baby chicks' butts all over my body. All over my body. I just put it on and instantly I just arouse myself because it's so soft and they fit perfect. Even I have to tuck a few of my folds in various places, but that's with all clothing, frankly. So they've even got sizes like Marge. You know what Marge is, don't you, in a sizing a situation?
I've never heard of that, no.
Marge is in between medium and large. So everybody can get the perfect fit.
What's between large and extra large?
Zarge. See?
You got me.
Got you there. But again, Marine Layer, they've got the t-shirts that feel so good and they fit perfect and they're unisex too. If you wear these, you can have sex with anybody and it's still morally all right.
No, that's not what that means. Unisex means you have sex on a unicycle.
Oh, I'm sorry, then never mind. And it goes way beyond t-shirts because they got the overshirts. I guess that's like an overlord shirt. Overshirts, the pay, you wear them over other shirts, possibly. I don't wear but one layer because I am a free perspirer. But nevertheless, they got pants, they got jackets, they've got all kinds of stuff. And when you want to get rid, this is fascinating to me. When you want to get rid of your old t-shirts, they'll literally pay you for them with their T-Respun program.
Huh.
And you got to find out more about that. And since I have boxes and boxes of t-shirts in the attic, I'm afraid I may be about to retire off these son of a bitches. Anyway.
Wait, they'll buy your old t-shirts off you, not just like their brand of t-shirt?
No,
t-shirt?
that's well, if you want to get rid of your old tees, it says right here. We need to find out more about that.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Because I'm telling you, I'll go to the landfill and find some old t-shirts. But nevertheless, if you think the perfect t-shirt can be hard to find, look no further than Marine Layer. And right now, try them out. Go to marinelayer.com and look at all the fine clothing and accessories that they've got available and make your own decisions. But I'm sure you'll agree with us that you can get 15% off with the code JCE15 at marinelayer.com. So you're not even looking at the retail price. You're looking at 15% off your entire order, not just one or two things. Get everything If you can get everything on their roster and get 15% off, you would save dozens of dollars. MarineLayer.com. The code is JCE15, 15% off your entire order at MarineLayer.com. They're saving your closet one shirt at a time. And they don't know what I've got in my closet.
Once again, Marine Layer. What's the promo code, Jim?
JCE15.